What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. In these last couple of days before a new update to a season or a brand new season drops, a question I often get on stream as well as on Discord is what should I be doing to maximize my time most efficiently and also in a way prepare myself for the new season. Now it goes without saying that in general what you should be doing is you should be stockpiling as many crystallization catalysts and energy activators and stuff. Of course, you're going to need one or two or whatever many of these for all of the new ultimate weapons that are coming, as well as for Serena that's coming. You're going to need crystallization catalysts for those as well. So as part of your daily routine, you should already be doing activities that can, of course, get you. These activities have never changed for that matter. I mean, you need to be getting yourself patterns. You need to be using those patterns and unlocking them by fighting void intercept bosses. And hopefully you can, roll lucky and roll on some of those catalysts, which you then in turn go and research. So I'm not going to tell you to do that because you should be doing that in any case. I have, however, in the past made a dedicated video just for gold farming, but something that is part of my daily routine and also something that is generally a good idea is always to stock up on gold. When you start out with the game, it's the resource that you pay the least attention to because you're focusing on Kuiper. And I mean, really, when you start out, you focus on Kuiper because you're developing all of your modules and all of that stuff. And that uses a shitload of Kuiper, which is a problem at the beginning of the game. But then at some point, when you switch from mid to end game, essentially it turns on its head and Kuiper becomes the resource that you have more access to and gold becomes your bottleneck. So you should always be focusing on making a little bit of gold at least every day. Now, the simplest way you can do this is still to this day, this activity that came with season 1 is still available. So these invasions, these disrupt invasions, you can do 2 at one location and 2 at another one, so 4 every day. And doing all 4 of these, which will not take you longer than 20 minutes, 25 minutes, is going to net you just over 5 million gold. Now, that's without you wearing any boosts or anything like that. So of course you can increase this yield by using things like, for example, where is it? We've got all these boosts in the game now. Specifically, you want something like gold gain boost. This plus 30% will increase that 5 million yield that you can get. And if you've done all 4 of those activities and you want to do additional stuff to get yourself more gold, a very good way to also continue on just farming a shitload of gold is Kuiper Mine Blockade, this special activity here. The benefit of doing this is that you are killing like several birds with one stone, because not only are you farming for gold, but you're also getting a huge amount of character as well as weapon XP, which means that you can be leveling up Descendants, which still need to be leveled. You can be leveling up weapons, which still need to be leveled. And at the same time, you're going to make a buttload of gold. Now, doing Kuiper Mine Blockade for an hour gets you about just under 9 million gold. And again, this is without any boosts on it. So if you have yourselves one of these gold boosts and activate that on, that's going to be another 30% on top of that. And then of course there's also something like a farm set that you can wear, like something like this shield enhancement memory, which increases your gold drop rate increase modifier as well. And so there are other things that you can do to increase the yield from that by just doing those 2 things for essentially an hour and a half a day is going to net you just over 13 million gold. And that's how you can start bolstering up your gold supplies, because of course when we get new Descendants, when we get new weapons and everything like that, that's one of the first resources that goes flying out the fucking door. Next up is our pet. We do know we're getting a brand new pet. In my opinion, that is going to be the preferred pet, at least for me. The sheepdog is going to have an ability that essentially heals you over time, whereas the new dog is going to load ammo into your weapon. And so that's going to be like the preferred way for you to actually play. I think, at the very least for me, that sounds more important than actually getting drip fed HP. That means we're going to have to level this fucking dog again. And that means we're going to have to go back to this godforsaken place, the Void Vessel, because there has been no indication from the developer that they are changing the way in which we accumulate the materials for researching dog food. So we're gonna have to do it the same old way we always did, which means we go into Void Vessel. When you finish one run of Void Vessel, you get this shit, decryption keys. You usually get 5 from a run, and then the next time you go, you can use those decryption keys on the chest inside Void Vessel, and that is sometimes going to give you the material that you need to be able to get the dog food. So that looks like this. Now, there are 3 grades of dog food. Let me quickly go on over to the research area and we can talk about it some more. All of the shit that you need for these supplements that you use to level a dog come from Void Vessel. So the actual blueprint itself, as well as the items that you need to actually complete the research, is from there. The most common one that you can find is a fortified supplement. And then, of course, you can get special synthetic calcium, which is the second best one, the purple. And then, of course, you can get ultimate protein compound, which, in my opinion, doesn't exist in the game unless the developer gives it to you. Now, all 3 of these give you varying levels of XP, with this one giving the least, this one giving a fair amount, and the ultimate protein compound actually giving you a shitload of levels. It's the same amount of levels that you did for the sheepdog, so you'll need quite a bit of this food. And of course, the idea is to get the dog as fast as possible to level 30, because that's going to enhance the effect of the dog as well as its radius and that sort of thing. So you want to be going to the Void Vessel. You want to be doing at least, I would say, 1 to 2 runs a day. The good news is that activity itself is not difficult anymore. It's more just a slog than anything else. But if you can stock up, I would say anywhere between 6 to 8 to 10 of these food items, then what you're going to have is you're going to have a pretty decent jump start on your dog, which means that once you actually do unlock it, you'll be able to quickly level it up and maybe just have to do a couple of more of those Void Vessel runs and then concentrate on other activities in the game. I do also want to mention that at the moment right now, the event that's running actually gives you one of those ultimate dog foods if you complete it. So this one here, Operation Burning Embers, which you have 2 days and 15 hours left. So I hope you've been grinding this fucking shit. If you do 20 missions, you can do 3 a day. So basically it'll take you like 7 days. So like I said, I hope you have been smashing these out. But if you complete 20 activities, you get one of these ultimate dog foods. And that's basically going to give you a big leg up on the leveling up with the dog. So hopefully you've been smashing those out. But other than that, you should be grinding Void Vessel if you want those foodies. And then lastly, speaking of research, of course, Void Abyss metal fragments continue to be a very important resource in the game, because it's both responsible for core binders, which unlock your ultimate weapons and give you the ability to put cores into them. We're getting a whole bunch of new ultimate weapons, so you are going to need core binders. And of course, core particle disruptors as well, which are basically used to re-roll the actual weapon cores themselves once you have them in place. Now, this resource comes primarily, I mean, you can get it from doing 400% infiltrations, but ideally the best way to do this, if you can farm it fast enough, is by killing the Void Intercept battle boss in the Abyss. Now, at the moment right now, and for the next 2 days and 15 hours, that is going to be Defiler. And Defiler has pretty much been defiled by pretty much everybody, because I would say he's not only considerably easier than the first Abyss boss we got, but also just in general, it's just a much more straightforward fight. So specifically, whether you're using Innis or whether you're using like this loadout with Glay, which of course I've also made videos on, every single creator with his salt has made a video on the last dagger, absolutely spanking the shit out of this boss. There are people that are killing this boss easily, less than 10 seconds time on the clock, so it's not something that's difficult by any way. The reason why I mention this is for the next 2 days we can kill Defiler and amass as much of this resource as possible. Of course, this resource, killing these bosses also gives you the other resource, which lets you buy cosmetics and all that stuff on weekends when the shop comes. But that's not important. You might not be a cosmetics guy, so it doesn't matter. The point is, Void Abyss metal fragments comes from that encounter, and it's gonna stay the same. Now, in 2 days and 15 hours, we get a new boss called the Tormentor. The footage that we've seen makes the Tormentor look like a bitch, and he basically died to Serena with a shotgun from the sky that wasn't leveled up at all, or at the very least didn't have cores enabled on it at all, and that kind of made the boss look like a weakling. But it is possible that that footage is doctored to a degree, and what I mean by that is that they've actually set the boss to be not as tough as he really is. And therefore, it might actually be a case that the boss might be a little bit difficult to kill, which will slow down your rate of being able to accumulate Void Abyss metal fragments until you configure your build in such a way, or you get a weapon to such a way that you can kill the boss regularly. For what it's worth, I think the only thing we're gonna have to do is just switch our element on the last dagger to fucking toxic, because the boss is weak to toxic, and then just go to town and absolutely murder the boss. And I think that's gonna be all she wrote. But in case that is not the case, you need to be able to find a way to deal with that boss, and in that time you're not going to be able to get this resource. So why not, if you're not busy with doing anything else at the moment right now, why not spend the time, get as many void abyss metal fragments as you can, at the very least enough for 4 core binders, because that is going to, well, actually, is it 4? Yeah, 4 core binders, because that's going to cover you with the 4 new ultimate weapons, and you'll be able to open those up for void, or rather for weapon cores, when the time is right and you've actually unlocked all of them. And that's pretty much it. I think, I mean, I'm not mentioning all of the, let's say, the obvious things. As I said at the beginning, catalysts and stuff like that, you should be endeavoring to do those in any case. You should always be on the lookout for decent external components, always be on the lookout for decent reactors, but these are sort of like daily activities that fold themselves into it. Usually the mad rush at the end of a season, or when we now see like a new adaptation to a season, so this is season 2 episode 2 or part 2 or part redux or fucking the revenge or season 269, whatever. The point is that there are certain resources which are more important based on what we're getting with the pass, and certainly gold will always be up there because we're getting new pet dog food is up there, and because we're getting a whole bunch of new ultimate weapons, you're going to need yourself some of these void abyss metal fragments so that you can actually unlock the full potential of those weapons. If there's anything else that you feel that is also important as part of the daily rotation and you'd love to mention it, go ahead and throw that in the comment section below, as well as any questions you have for something that I might not have explained fucking great. I tend to do that. But other than that, see you later in the week when the patch drops, and as always, fucking cheers.